Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. Some people told Jesus about the Galileans whose blood Pilate had mingled with the blood of their sacrifices. So Jesus said to them, "Do you think that because these Galileans suffered in this way, they were greater sinners than all other Galileans? By no means. But I tell you, if you do not repent, you will all perish as they did." Or those 18 people who were killed when the tower at Siloam fell on them. Do you think that they were more guilty than everyone else who lived in Jerusalem? By no means. But I tell you, if you do not repent, you will all perish as they did. And then Jesus went on and told them this parable. There once was a person who had a fig tree planted in his orchard, and when he came in search of fruit on it, he found none. So he said to the gardener, "For 3 years now, I have come in search of fruit on this fig tree, but have found nothing. Cut it down. Why should it exhaust the soil?" But the gardener said to him in reply, "Sir, leave it for 1 more year, and I shall cultivate the ground around it. I will fertilize it. It may bear fruit in the future. If not, then you can cut it down." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
There are many things we do not know. And one of the things that we as Christian people know very little about is why bad things happen in our world. We cannot answer the question, why do bad things happen to good people? We cannot even answer the question, why do bad things happen to bad people? When it comes to the question, why evil, God has told us very little. Even though we do not know why bad things happen, many people will attempt to explain it. And so often when evil happens, you will find people trying to explain why a bad thing is somehow a good thing, or why the people who suffer somehow deserve to suffer. That is exactly what we saw in today's gospel. Some people come up to Jesus and they tell Jesus that Pilate murdered some Galileans, and then their blood was mingled with the blood of their sacrifices. And those Galileans were killed because they were sinners. That's what Jesus was told. And Jesus outright rejects the explanation as he says, "Do you think that because these Galileans suffered in this way, they were greater sinners than all the other Galileans? By no means." And then Jesus goes on and adds his own example, another example of evil, an accidental one. He talks about a tower. that fell on 18 people, and the 18 people were killed. And then Jesus asked, do you think that they were more guilty than anyone else who lived in Jerusalem? By no means. In other words, Jesus was saying we cannot explain why evil. We just do not know why. We may not know the answer to why evil, but we do, as Christian people, believe two things about evil. The first thing we believe, good can come from evil. The second thing we believe, God does not send us evil. Let me say that in another way. Even in our darkest moments, Christians believe that God will find a way to bring something good out of the evil we are experiencing. Now we know that when good things happen to us, those good things come from God. Things like when you met your spouse, when a healthy baby is born, when you are fighting cancer and are cured. When those types of events happen, we say, this is a blessing that comes from God who loves us. And we say that with confidence because the scriptures tell us that all good things come from our Father in heaven. But when bad things happen to us, we do not have a similar explanation. It is wrong to say my marriage failed because God wanted it to fail. It is wrong to say that my child was born with a birth defect because that was God's will. It's wrong to say that the treatment for my cancer did not work because that was part of God's plan. God just does not operate that way. If we go through a divorce and then somehow we grow personally and spiritually from that experience, it is appropriate to thank God for the growth, but it's not appropriate to say that God ended my marriage so that I could grow personally and spiritually. If a loved one dies of cancer and the family pulls together and is able to express their love and their concern for each other in ways that were never possible before, it is right that that family thank God for that love and closeness that they are experiencing. But it is not right to think that God wanted that person's death so that the family might pull together and love each other. In every situation, when it comes to the reason for evil in our lives, the simple answer is we do not know why. And we must always insist that God is never the source of evil. And the reason that we must insist that God is not the cause of evil is because such an idea distorts our belief and our picture of God. If God is somehow responsible for evil, then God becomes a cruel, mean, and unloving God. And that statement is just not true. God is a loving and merciful God, a God who created us in love, a God who created us in his image. We do not know everything. When good things happen to us, we believe that they are blessings from a God who loves us. When evil happens to us, we admit that we do not understand why evil happens, but the evil is not from God. And even as we believe that God does not send bad things to us, we do believe that God will be with us, and somehow he will bring good from the evil we are experiencing.